Hello, welcome to the first in what will become a series of videos on how to prepare your property tax appeal here in the city of Calgary. Now, I've had some interest as far afield as Chilliwack, BC, Nanaimo, BC, and Airdrie, just north of the city as well. The principles that will be demonstrated over the series of these videos will apply, but you will, of course, will need to collect your data in a different way. We are using the assessmentsearch.calgary.ca website. You can see the address up there, or you can search it on Google just for property assessment search here in Calgary. I'm using the Firefox browser, but as you can see here in the supported browsers listed on the city website, you'll be fine using Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, or Safari if you work with Macintosh. So when you come to this page, whether you arrive here through Google or whether you just type it directly into the address bar up here, click on the sign in button. If you haven't already, if you've never done this before, you will need to create a citizen account. Click on that. Since since you're watching this on YouTube, I'm assuming that it's probably fairly safe to assume that you've signed up for an account on some similar website or some service like this. As usual, just enter your first name, your last name, your email address, and then you'll need to create a unique username. Now, it's been many years since I've done this for myself, so I suspect that you might also need your roll number that will be displayed on the paper copy of the property tax assessment that the City of Calgary mailed out last week. So once you've created your Citizen ID account, go back to that assessmentsearch.calgary.ca website. Now, I can reach that just by clicking on the back button on my browser. So once you're here, though, just enter your username. There's me. Enter your password and press submit. So once logged in, you're going to see your own property. This is where I'm living. Here's my current assessed value for this year, which I will be appealing. Your address, your roll number, lots of good information here. Lots of good resources. For our purposes and for the purposes of this video, where we collect your data, the most useful tool, the only tool that we really need, is this map search. Click on this. It's going to bring up an interface that should be sort of familiar to you. If you've used something like Google Maps or Google Earth or whatever it might be, you'll see this interface and you'll see our city. Now, if you want to get a closer look at our city, use the scroll wheel on your mouse and you can zoom in. Give it a moment to render and you can get as close as you want. You can look all the way down in the southwest or the northeast. No matter where you are in the city, you can find your neighborhood, and you can find the assessment data you need to form the basis of your appeal. So now I live way up here in the northwest, up in Rocky Ridge. If you're heading out to Cochrane, you're taking Crowchild Trail. I'm in the last turnoff here, so I'm going to find my neighborhood here, and I'm going to center it and start zooming in. Now, this is actually the second take in this video that I'm trying to prepare to help people prepare for their own property appeals. So I've already collected a little bit of data. Something to be mindful of: as a homeowner in Calgary, you only get 50 reports per year. So I've already collected 21 of these reports, and I encourage you to use as many to use all of these 50 reports. Like, exhaust your quota. Collect all the data on your street, collect your neighbors' data, and just save it for next year, because it may be the case that you have to appeal again next year. So I've already collected my own data. I'm going to use this street as an example. Let's just say, hypothetically, I live at this address here, and you can see a little bit of information. Here's the house number. Here's in red. Here's what the city has decided that this property, my property, is worth. When I'm creating these appeals, I take my data and I take all the data of my neighbors, and then I just crunch the numbers. I find out what the similarities between our properties, the differences between our properties, and based on those similarities and differences, I'm able to determine if my assessment is fair. So just using this as an example, you can see I'm every time I move my mouse here, you can see the highlight, the property boundaries are highlighted blue. So let's say I live here and I double click. So before I could only see the assessed value. When you double click on this, you're going to see a whole bunch of these details that we're after. This is what we're interested in. There's just some administrative stuff like your roll number. Here's the street address, of course, the current year assessed value. But some also very useful information concerning the size of your lot. Also the size of your living area above grade. Do you have a basement, a walkout basement, a garage? What's the area of your garage? All these numbers. These are what we're going to compare. We're going to make a chart in a future video, and this is what's going to this is what you're going to submit as evidence when you launch your appeal. So now, Calgary, I mean, I love my city, don't get me wrong, but they don't make it very easy to access this data. There's no public API that I'm aware of. As a computer programmer, I can't just make a request against a city server and collect the data I need. I need to come in here manually, and this is what I'm showing you how to do. You need to get all of this information so that you can organize it and crunch the numbers. So to do this, the easiest way I found is to print this information to PDF. I don't want it on paper, of course. I need it in a digital copy, in a digital format. To do that, and you should see this no matter what browser you're using, what operating system, whether it's Mac, Windows, or what I use Ubuntu. You should see this print link here. Click that link, and you should see it. You don't even need a printer for this, but you can see here's my printer. It says it's unplugged or turned off. I'm not printing it to paper. I'm printing it to file. So if I click on that, I get these two options here. Now this is probably going to look a little bit different. I'm using the Firefox browser, but Chrome or Internet Explorer or Safari, they're all going to have a similar feature. So this is kind of up to you just to kind of figure it out. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will take a look and I will do my best to help you. So having done this, now I've decided I want to print a file. I want to print this to a PDF. I got to give it a file name. A big part of what you need to do, it's very important to keep your data nicely organized. This is what I'm trying to say. Create a working directory, give it a descriptive file name. This will make your life easier when it comes time to sift through all this data. So what I've done here, I've got my directory structure here. I'm starting collecting reports. I created a new file, so give a street name, all this kind of thing, just to help you keep it organized. So I've already collected some data here. You'll notice here's just the street addresses, nice and descriptive. I'm looking at 11421, so I'm going to update that address and press select. This might say save on your browser, it might say something different, but I'm going to say select, and then I'm going to say print. And again, this isn't going to be on paper. This is going to appear on your hard drive. So here's the one I just saved. So I'm using the File Explorer here in Ubuntu. These are this is the information I've already collected. The one I just saved, 11421, is now a PDF. I can open that up in whatever software, and this is it. Right? It didn't go out on paper. It's just it's a digital document, and I need to collect all of these for my whole street. Now, I've had success appealing these things in the past. Just find your house, find your neighbors, and just go to the end of the block. So let's say I started here. I want to collect this house's data, this house's data, this house's data, all the way down here. At the end of it, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 reports. So I started here. Let's do this again. I'll go slow. Follow along if you can. I double click. Here's my neighbor. And once again, I need to get this into a digital document, into a PDF. So I press the print button up here, the print link, select print to file. So by default, it's telling me I want to, or it's insisting that I put this out to paper. I don't want that. I want to print this to file, change the file name, give it something descriptive. So I'm currently at 11425. Let's update that. I press enter, and I press print. Wonderful. And I look back here in my file, and there it is. It just appeared. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 4 more reports to go. I'll do a couple more just so you can see the process without having to rewind the video. Find your neighbor's house, double click, press print, select print to file, give it a descriptive file name, 11429 in this case. 429, press select and press print, and look at that. It's going to appear right here, 11429 Rocky Valley Drive. A couple more times. 11433. Double click. Print. Print to file. Give it a descriptive file name. 1433. Select. Print to PDF or print to file. So I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to collect the data for my street. Join me again and keep watching the Facebook page because the next video that I'm going to create, and I hope to have this out by Tuesday or Wednesday next week, will show you how to take this data that you've collected, all this data that is provided from the city, and just organize it. Because ultimately, what we're going to do is just crunch the numbers that the variables that we can quantify, like accessible land use, living area below grade, all this kind of stuff, and produce a nice visualization that's very impactful, and it will show exactly where your house sits in relation to your neighbors. And if there's a big disparity, that's how you know that you are right to appeal your property assessment. So stay tuned. We'll see you in a couple of days.